coming at you live with another SDR interview breakdown. This is a real SDR interview that one of my clients sent me the recording of to give feedback and coaching on. I'm Jack Knight. I've been an SDR leader for 5 years, and I've helped over 200 people break into tech sales because I've run hundreds of these interviews and I've been the hiring manager. So I know exactly what you need to do to stand out in interviews. We're going to break this one down, see if there's any tips, tricks we can pull away that'll help you go break into tech sales. And by the way, if you need help breaking into tech sales, I've got a free guide linked below that shows you step-by-step what you need to do to go land one of these high-paying remote jobs without any experience, and even in some cases, a college degree. So whatever you need, click the link below. I got your back. Let's get into the video.
Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Alex, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Really excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time.
Great intro. I love the sincerity. I love the thank you for taking the time. It's respectful of my client to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this your note taker? Did you want this note taker in the call?
Yeah. Yeah. We could take it off.
If you want it, it's up to you. I just wanted to make sure you wanted it in here or not.
Okay. So I am strongly against having note takers on calls because I, as the hiring manager, I want to feel like I'm in control, right? Like you're following my rules. This is my turf. And if you just bring your recorder in the room, it's like, okay, this is a little interesting. Why is your recorder here? Like, are you going to take this back? And not that I have anything to hide, but it's just unconventional. And you don't want to bring any yellow flag to your candidacy. And because this is so unconventional, I would say just ditch the note taker. If you want to use something, then you can get your iPhone out and put it to the side of your computer while you're in an interview and just open a voice memo and hit record. Or you can use, there's apps on your iPhone that will transcribe a recording as you're recording. You could use one of those too, but I would keep the note taker out of the room. I do like that my client was like, yeah, no, we can take it out if you want to. And then ultimately the leader was like, no, it's fine. We can leave it in here. And it makes sense because I know this leader, he's got a lot of experience. So he's confident, he's good. But yeah, most recruiters and managers would be like, yellow flag, why is your recorder in the room with us?
Yeah. I think it could be helpful just
Sure.
to like be able to focus on talking, and then
Yep.
we can have it just take notes and we can go back for any.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's awesome. I couldn't find you on LinkedIn, but I heard that you're a new director of acquisition sales. Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. How's that been going?
great so far. I mean, I work with some great people. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of people here at the company, and they've all been fantastic. People are really helpful. They're friendly, kind, and really want the company to succeed. So it's been great.
That sounds great. That sounds like a winning culture that I'd love to be part of.
Yeah, listen to it.
I love it. I love that there's just a genuine ask here of how's the role been going. And I love the reinforcement here that my client is sharing that, hey, that's actually somewhere, sounds like where I want to end up, right? So I like it so far. That's great.
Good.
We're going to jump in with the tell me about yourself. This is usually the first question you're going to get from these recruiters and these interviewers. So let's see.
Tell me about yourself. Like, how am I finding you here on this call today? How are you? How did you get in touch with Adrian?
Yeah, so on myself, I went to school after KID studying the.
Okay. Red flag. So we've got a good vibe and energy here. You can kind of feel it. It feels friendly. It feels sincere. It feels genuine. And then there's two things right away that my client did here that I would tweak, right? So right away, the tone is still flat, right? So when someone's asking you about, tell me about yourself, you want to start to bring the excitement and energy. You don't want to be corny and fake, but you want to be genuine, that you're happy to be there. And so the way I would kick this off, this response is, yeah. So again, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to this interview and getting to learn more about the company. So you hear the warmth in my voice, but then I'm also saying one more thank you so they know that I'm very appreciative. I want to be here. This matters a lot to me. And then the other feedback I have from my client here is he went right for the clinical business stuff. I went to school studying bachelor's. I went to get my master's degree.
Masters.
I've been in B2B SaaS for a long time. Then technical, business. Now, he does get to this part, doing all of this while being able to secure a future for me and my family. That's his why. But because we started off the conversation clinically, it's hard to get the energy back up on like the personal emotional connection side. What these recruiters and interviewers want from you is they want human connection because they've been interviewing people all day, all week, and 95% of those interviews go the same way. They're boring, they're clinical, they're sterile. It's just a business conversation. Your goal is to get in there and build human connection. So the way I would have started this again is, hey, thank you so much for having me here. It means a lot. Really excited about today. My name is Jack, and just to give you a little personal background, I grew up in the XYZ area. I had a really good or bad childhood. You get to pick based on your childhood. If you had a good childhood, then you'll talk about, I had a great childhood. My parents worked their butts off for us, and that actually informs my life why and why I want to be in sales is I want to secure the childhood that I had growing up for my future family. So right away, we're not going into business and we're not going into resume and all of that. We're going into your why. Why are you here? Why sales? And we're starting to answer these questions that inevitably they would ask us, but we're getting ahead of it through storytelling, and that's going to engage them. So as you go into the good side, right? It's I want to secure that future for my family. If you had a bad childhood, here's a chance to be vulnerable. You don't want to get victim soundy and poor me and life sucks. That's not the point. But yeah, so growing up, I grew up in the Oakland area, and I actually grew up with a single mom. We didn't have it easy. My mom worked her butt off for us, but we never really had the childhood that the childhood that people dream about, right? And so my life why I want to be in sales and why I want to be so successful is because of the childhood I had. I want to make sure that my kids never have to go through some of the things I went through. So growing up, and now you transition out. So just to be clear, you've got that good childhood, bad childhood, you get to decide. Now they understand you on a deep personal level. Sometimes those recruiters and managers, they'll relate. They'll be like, wow, okay, I had a single mom childhood too, or hey, my parents worked their butts off too. I see myself in you, and you build that connection. So then we would move on to, so that desire to succeed, it actually is what drove me a lot in my early years, right? In school, I pushed really hard in academics, or for me personally, it was athletics. Um, I found a lot of fulfillment coming from roles where I had to perform, and that started on the football team, being coached, being in a growth environment. We actually went on to win state championship. That was great. That kind of built this foundation in me of wanting to be in roles where I'm challenged and in environments where the best of me is being challenged every day. And so that actually led me into my next, whatever next event you have, right? So for some of you, that's school. For some of you, that's your first job. And the whole idea is that within a 30-second window, you're trying to catch them up to the start of your professional career. Okay. So briefly touch on high school, academics or athletics. Which one was your thing? You started to develop a taste for competition and success and being driven in those environments. That led you to your next thing, which was, college in my case. Um, and it could be different for you, your first job. And then if you went into a sales job, then you would say that's when I really fell in love with sales, developed discipline, that grit. I learned how to deal with rejection, failure, but I love the chase. And I love that I was able to control my income based on my output. And then that's what brings me here today is I want to build a long career in sales, and I see SaaS as the best way to do that because I know I'm going to be challenged every single day to grow and get better. But I also know that if I show up and perform, I'm going to be able to make as much money as I want to. And that's important to me because of my life why. I want to secure a better future for my children or whatever that is for you. If you didn't go into sales right away, then you would just say something like, I went after college into an IT role because I thought I liked kind of the IT side of the house, data, analytics, stuff like that. But honestly, it was good. I learned a lot about numbers and how to view problems strategically, whatever. And now I'm in a position though where I miss the hunt, I miss the grind, I miss the chase, and I want to be able to control my income. So that's why I'm here today. see how all the roads, all the branches, they lead to the same result, which is you want to be here today because you want to be in an environment where you can work hard, control your income, and be in an environment where there's a lot of growth opportunity. You're capped in your last role, which is why you're here today. All right. So my client gets through this little response
Why
here.
for me? Huge why for me.
Awesome. Tell me what you're like outside of work. What do you like to do outside of work?
Cool. This is just a nice little rapport builder, right? This is the manager wanting to make sure you're a human being and you're not just gonna, I don't know, sit in your room and work all day. Like they're trying to build human connection with you. They're trying to see like, is there more to you than just the persona, the facade that you're presenting? And this is where you can get real. And so my client did a phenomenal job here of answering this question.
Yeah, so long distance running is my passion. I've recently done a 2-hour half marathon. My goal is to go to 43.
My only critique here is the tone. So he just said, long distance running is my passion. And he said it like, yeah, long distance running is my passion. I recently done a 2.5-hour marathon. Man, this is like your passion. Like, yeah. So actually long distance running is like my thing, right? I actually just completed a 2.5-hour marathon, which was crazy, but I'm so glad I did it. My goal is to actually move from a 43 to a 50 VO2 max, which would be above average and excellent for a younger age group than me. Just because I feel like it's the perfect time in my life where that could help with the emotional regulation, stress control, which is helpful in everything. What I love about what my client did, even though his tone is kind of dead, I love how he nerded out on this. He was very specific. So what we want to see as managers, as recruiters, is that you get passionate about things in your life because we know that that's going to matriculate into your job. And if you can be passionate about running and VO2 maxes, then I think you can be passionate and kind of nerd out on the data side of what we do and the skill set that sales is. And so I think there's a phenomenal answer of what he said. I would just change how he said it.
Awesome. That's great. I've got some.
I would maybe ask here if I'm my client, like, that's helpful with everything. What about you? Are you a runner or what do you get into? Now you're inviting that manager, that recruiter to engage on that personal level, right? And share a little bit about them, which could build another bridge of trust and connection. Because imagine if this guy was a runner too. Well, screw all the interview questions and stuff. You just earned like another 40 trust points because runners know each other. They know how hard it is. They get each other. So there's a lot you tell me by us having a shared hobby or interest. And there's a lot I learn about you without you having to say anything. So that would be an opportunity to just invite someone in there.
Be about a piece of, and I'm going to take notes at the same time. I hope that's okay. So if you see me, normally I do with like pen and paper, but
Yeah, no problem. Whatever's comfortable.
I like
Tell me
that
about-
response. Yeah, good tone. I like this mellow response, whatever's comfortable. I like that. But rather than think of like an audio wave, right? It's kind of flat. And if anything, it dips down a hair. I'd rather see it flat up, right? Where you're raising the energy in various places, but then you're keeping that calm, cool, collected energy. So I like what my client's doing with the energy, but it's a little too flat here.
Give out a piece of feedback that you received that initially stung, but ultimately made you better, and what changed in your behavior.
Great question here.
With the founder, my perspective to that is just because things hurt immediately doesn't mean that it's actually going to help me in the long term and feel even better because it does sting initially. So the feedback was that I asked too many questions. So what
Again, just the energy, it's still flat for me, but I like the
I
response
learned
so
from
far.
that was, since I was not tracking to quota at the time in November, learning to be more proactive and solve the problem by myself. That meant experimenting with call windows, running KPI numbers and ChatGPT, getting ideas on new scripts with my coach Dan. All these things helped me bounce back immediately, and it was almost more rewarding because of that initial sting.
Okay, not bad. I would rate this like a B plus, right? How do we get it to an A plus? Well, I think the very beginning of this was just a little wobbly, which is going to happen. You're not going to answer questions perfectly in interviews. That's expected.
Yeah.
But
So with the founder, my perspective,
with the founder, like what do you mean with the founder? Like it didn't really make sense, but that's okay. The main increase in this is going to be being a little more specific about the actual situation. So all he said about the situation was that he asked too many questions, right? So what I would say is I would do more of a storytelling, like, yeah, so it feels better because it does sting initially. So an example of that is actually in November I started falling behind on quota, and I went to my coach to kind of figure out like, hey, what do we need to do? What needs to change? And the feedback I actually got from my coach at the time was that I asked too many questions. And, that initially kind of stung. Like I said, it stings to get feedback, but then I realized he was right and I wasn't being resourceful enough. So that's when I went into um, kind of being more autonomous and trying to figure things out on my own rather than having people solve things for me. And so that meant experimenting. By the way, I love how specific my client was with this line right here with call windows, running KPI numbers in ChatGPT, getting new ideas on scripts. So I love that. I think just better storytelling of how we got there is going to go further. To make this answer an A plus, we would just want to frame out the 3P framework a little better, right? And so my client does have perspective here, which are his initial thoughts about what was asked, like what's his initial temperature or mindset around feedback, for example. So that was great. Then he's got his proof here. This is like specific examples of how he's lived that out. And I think this was pretty good here. But what we're missing is plan at the end. And this is where you future pace yourself so that the manager can see why is the manager asking this, right? That's what you have to ask yourself. Well, the manager wants to know you're coachable. And so if you can talk about how you are going to be as an SDR on that manager's team, that manager is going to start to see you as like, okay, I can see myself coaching you. I can see you in the role. I can see us having these conversations. So very simple addition at the end would just be, so yeah, as an SDR, if I were to end up at your company, I'm really looking for an environment where I can be coached. But what I learned from this experience is that I'm going to make sure I'm being self-autonomous as well, taking initiative on my own, getting answers on my own, being resourceful. And so that's what I'm going to do, if I were to plan on joining the team over there. Would you have any tweaks to that or anything? You can ask a follow-up question there, but let's see what the manager said here.
Okay. Your coach, getting your scripts, things like that.
yeah,
Is that right?
just being being for myself, I learned to be more strategic, more careful about when I do reach out for feedback, and be more proactive myself. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's fair. Good recap.
Describe a time for me that you had to do something really repetitive and uncomfortable for weeks at a time with a little payoff. How did you stay consistent with that?
Yeah. So with running, definitely, I took a year off last year.
I love the example because it's tying back to the passion, and he's going to see like, wow, this guy really nerds out about running. That's good. He's going to nerd out about sales, right?
Back into it. Those first initial runs were really, really boring, really, really difficult. My body was just not, it had adapted before, but now it had like unadapted. So now it was just kind of getting back into it. So it was not nearly as fun as I knew it should be or could be. So what really helped was the data, using an app like Strava.
Yeah, this is great. So he's talking about Strava, pace, elevation. Again, this is a really, really good answer. What I want you to listen to this right here in his tone.
Using an app like Strava that takes track and compares how I'm performing, the pace, the distance, the routes even, like elevation.
Yeah.
I like the tone. It's livening up a little bit because now my client's talking about something he cares about, and you can tell there's more passion associated with it.
Understand how am I doing? How much better am I doing? And am I actually getting back in shape?
Yeah, that was good. That was a really good answer. And then you can even see the manager's like,
That's awesome, dude. So yeah, listen, I'm a big guy. Running is not my friend. Like meaning, running is not happening to your performance and what was really happening to your progress. Very cool. Do you use that app today still?
Nice. Okay, good. So positive response there. You did a great job with that one. Walk me
Walk me
through.
through what a strong BDR day looks like for you.
Definitely something that's very structured, like a personal piece of feedback that I had recently.
Good. So he's got perspective, right? So a strong BDR day is very structured. That's his overall view of the thing. Now he's getting into specific proof that he believes that and he lives that out. And so now he's talking about
Recently from my coach
coaching.
at Sword Academy, which is how I knew or how I came to creating that video and the deck. It's that I'm kind of an executor, which means that I like to do a lot of activity, just hop into things, just go, go, go. The problem with that is that I can crash, I can tire out. So the structure, a little bit of planning before I just get in the zone, like what are my call blocks, what are the meetings, what are the things that I might forget to do, like send voice notes to someone that's really high priority. Those kind of things help me just do what I love doing, which is just execute.
Nice. I like what the error that he's calling out is like, I can be too much of an executor. It's almost like that question where it's like, what's your biggest weakness? And it's like, I work too hard. It's kind of like a self-serving answer, but it works because I want to hear that you're an executor. I'd rather have an over executor than an under executor in the context of an SDR BDR job, right? So I like this answer a lot. And then he's bringing some specifics around like, I know how the BDR day flows, right? Like it's going to be call blocks, meetings, so on and so forth. I don't think this is a bad answer at all. Again, the tone just feels a little bit flat. Actually, right here is a really good variance of tone.
That I can crash, I can tire out.
I can crash, I can tire out. Now you're speaking with your heart, right? Before it's just monotone.
What's your favorite part of the BDR job?
Favorite part, definitely when I can connect to someone,
So again, it's just the energy. I actually like this answer.
close
This
a
is great.
meeting or convert a meeting. And if that actually turns into revenue and you feel that relationship improving with your AE or your manager, that feels really good.
Yeah. So I like this a lot. It's just the tone, right? Like the whole front half of this question, the tone is flat. But if we come here,
Manager, that feels really good.
that feels really good. We're getting some variance in there. I like it. So again, so far, like really strong answers. It's just the tone, the energy is kind of killing it.
What about the BDR role will be the hardest for you?
Yes. So I think right now,
All right, this gets technical, but I really like how specific this answer was. This is a really strong answer from my client here, where you can pause and read, but it's very technical, and I think that's really specific.
Questions might you have for me?
What questions do you have for me? This is my favorite part as a manager because this is where I really get to see how good a client is or how good a candidate is. If you have 3 questions and they're all the same, what's your culture? What are the high performers and what's the career path? You're not a very good SEO. But if you can come to me with good questions that are meaningful and thought provoking, you're going to impress me a lot because it shows me how different you are. Everyone asks the same 3 questions. Don't ask those 3 questions.
yeah. So can you walk me through what the path to hitting quota within my
So here the conversation is changing. I would do a little transition first and say, yeah, well, first of all, thank you again. I've really appreciated the conversation so far. This has been a lot of fun, and thanks for letting me have the floor to ask some questions. I actually prepared some questions last night as I was getting ready for this interview. Are you okay if I pull those out? Now you can pull out your little notebook. You've got your questions written down, so you're not thinking on your feet and going to ask a dumb question. And the benefit is that I'm, as the interviewer, I'm looking at you like, dang, you're prepared. You actually took time to write out questions last night in your notepad. Not a lot of people do that. You've got my attention. Let's go.
first 90 days would look like?
Well, it's utilizing the tools that we'll have.
Okay. Good answer from the manager. Made him think, made him get specific around metrics and numbers. And then my client took advantage of that and went, cool,
And
that's good to
that's
know the
really
numbers.
good to know the numbers. And since we're on the topic of metrics, I actually have a few data questions.
Sure.
And it's all good if you don't have the exact numbers. I know no program is perfect, but I'm curious, would it be okay to ask?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. I mean, if I don't have the answer, man, I'll tell you.
Sweet. So I would just say, thanks. Okay, cool. Thanks. Appreciate that.
How long is the average sales cycle?
Great question. It could be
So my only problem with these questions, average sales cycle, TCV, MRR, these are all closing questions, more for the account exec. I don't like when SDRs ask these questions because it's like, that's not your business. That's not your job. Like, stay in your lane. So I want to hear the SDR data questions. What's your average dial to connect rate right now? How many conversations does it take for the team to book a meeting right now? What's the conversion rate of meeting to qualified meeting? What are some of the factors that go into qualification for you guys? Don't ask me AE questions, ask me SDR questions. So I love the heart of the questions, but make it about your job. Stay in your lane. So we'll kind of pass through all these. Current quota attainment.
Quota attainment, and what's the goal?
for the BDRs.
All right. So I don't like asking what is the current quota attainment this plainly because it can come across as almost aggressive where it's like, whoa, buddy, chill. There's a better way to ask it. And it's just to butter it up a little more. And it's like, hey, so I know no team is perfect. I know you're probably being new, still figuring things out. So it's all good if you don't have the perfect answer here. But I was wondering just about like month over month, quarter after quarter, what is the team averaging right now in terms of quota attainment? Like, how are you guys actually doing? So that was a lot more wordy, but it's on purpose. I'm buttering it up. I'm fluffing it up so that it lands softer. It's got more insulation around it. If I just say,
Yeah. What is the current quota attainment, and what's the goal?
it's almost too blunt. It's like, ooh, okay, that's a sharp question. So
My
then it puts the problem with that is exactly what's happening right here.
2 reps have been either out sick or on bereavement leave throughout the month of.
It puts the manager on the defense. It makes them have to defend themselves, defend the team. When it's like, if we just ask it differently in a way that's not going to be so abrasive and blunt, then it lets them catch it softer. Where it's like, yeah, no, you bring up a good point. Like our team's brand new. We actually just got started. 2 of my reps have been out. So we're still trying to figure things out here. I really don't have good numbers to tell you right now. So that's kind of where things are at. Now they don't feel so defensive. They feel like you gave them an out and you're not being so harsh with the question.
Oh, the data questions.
Yeah.
These are more, I'm just kind of cool, wordy kind of questions. But I heard that the deals are going to per user and annual.
So if you're going to say, I heard that, you got to share from where. So I was speaking to SDR name, who's already on the team, or I was speaking to account executive name, and they mentioned that deals are going to be blah, blah, blah. Be specific. It's going to give you a lot of brownie points of like, oh, I didn't realize you spoke to someone on our team. That's awesome. Great job being proactive. So if you're going to say that, make sure to mention specifically.
So how do you want BDRs thinking about qualification for meetings so that we can get the AEs?
I think this is a great question, though. I think this is very specific. The client did a great job on that one. Good answer here. I don't think for BDR, the type of deal makes a difference, whether it's per user or annual contract. And so I think this is a great response here as well and a great back and forth. I really like that my client is asking about qualification because it shows the manager that you're not just going to think about booking meetings, but you're trying to book meetings that actually matter to the team. So I think that was a great answer there.
Finding these are going to go
Question.
more about finding need, qualifying that, just focusing on that, with just executing on it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I have account executives. I don't need them for my BDR role, right? For the BDR role, I need guys that are.
Exactly. So back to the point above, all of these AE questions are like, why are you asking me this? This isn't your job. I just need you to go in there and freaking dial and get after it. And so I can actually see now the manager's like, let me make sure I push this guy back into his lane I don't need these AE kinds of questions. I need you to ask me SDR questions, and I need you to just jump in there and freaking get after it, man. Um, so I don't think it's bad, but I can feel the energy from the manager now going like, huh, I don't know if this is going to be my guy because he's so concerned about these downstream metrics and things. I just need someone that's going to get in there and freaking get after it. Um,
Empathy towards the
good job handling it. Like my client didn't freeze up or anything, so that's good.
Warm leads. That's just not going to happen. So I need people who are ready to embrace cold calling and reach out and find their own prospects outside of the warm leads that we'll be able to provide.
Cool. So the manager here is like, uh-oh, I need to make sure this guy knows that he's getting into cold calling as well. Does he have the chops for cold calling? So look, when you're in an interview, never say you're afraid of cold calling or outbound, or I would prefer inbound. It's a weak answer, and us managers are going to hate it. Most jobs are outbound these days. There's not a lot of inbound going on in the world right now. So if we sniff at all, you might get inbound leads. You might get some warm marketing traffic. That's going to happen. But if we smell at all fear, hesitancy, or even a preference that you'd rather be inbound, you're not our person. We need someone, regardless of if there's inbound or not, someone who's going to come in here and just be hungry to get after it and make cold calls. And so the manager here is like trying to put that back into balance to make sure that's clear. And my client did a phenomenal job answering that. He said everything was pure cold call channel, pure outbound. It was all like, who are you calling from? It was all cold. So I really like that my client kind of over index, like, hey, I've done cold outbound. I'm good with cold outbound. I just making sure, right? So that was an interesting little dynamic that happened there, but my client recovered very well from
in
that.
their first 2 months to show that they're on the right track.
What would I want a BDR doing in the
So I don't like this question. This question is too similar to what would I need to do to hit quota in the first 90 days that was asked up above here somewhere. And it's just like, it's just a weak question overall. Especially if you have experience, it's like, you know what you need to do in the first 2 months, right? And I can kind of tell
first 2 months
the manager's a little like,
they're on
okay,
the right track? I mean, honestly, I want someone who's not afraid to hit the phone, man. Like, honest to God, that's all I want. I want someone who loves to talk to people.
so this manager's just like, dude, I just want someone who's gonna grind. Give me someone who's hungry, someone who's ready to get after it. And I think that's looking through here, his response, like, yeah, he really just wants someone who's driven, right? And wants to get after it. And so I think this isn't a micro coaching moment of like, say this differently, do this differently. It's just the trajectory of the interview because of the AE questions. It's kind of from the manager's perspective, he's like, oh man, I don't know if this is my guy. He's just going to drop in here and just dial. This sounds like someone who's thinking a lot more about the role than what it is. And you almost are getting too deep into the weeds where it's like, my brother, like, will you pick up the phone? Will you grind with me? Do you want to get after it? So it's more just general trajectory at this point that maybe feels misaligned.
Really
helpful
out what is valuable to you. I worked with different managers. I've always gotten along with them, but a few definitely stood out. The ones that wanted to help build together. That usually shows in not like micromanaging every detail and how I go about use this.
All right. So I would never use the word micromanaging when speaking to a manager. Every manager is afraid to be a micromanager. And when you use that word, it's just it's an association that doesn't need to exist in the conversation. So rather than say, that usually shows in not micromanaging, it's more about, my client here is saying, so this is what I care about. I trust you to execute. Those are the managers I like the most. That kind of freaks us out because we're like, well, I don't trust you to execute. You're brand new. I need to know you're coachable. I need to know that you're going to use our frameworks, use our scripts that we know work, and then build off of those in the future to make them better. But I don't have any trust with you. So you giving me any impression that you don't like being managed, it's probably not my fit because I need someone who just wants to learn and is gonna, if I say go jump off that building, they're gonna jump off the building. If I say go run under that bridge, they're going to run under the bridge. That's the mindset. That's how coachable and hungry I want my reps, because I know the quality of manager I am. I know I'm going to do good work, but I need them to be willing to be led. Now, there's a point 3, 6, 9 months into the role where I'm going to start giving you more autonomy. And then when you're 9 months, 12 months in the role, you're going to be running the show. I'm going to have you running team trainings, building scripts, whatever. But I can see, again, the general trajectory of this interview. There's like too much in the weeds. There's too much autonomy. Now there's a little bit of resistance to like, oh, I don't want to be micromanaged. I want my managers to trust me. And this guy's like, dude, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I need to micromanage you until we get you running. So I could see here, in the response.
Here's what I'd say, man. I'm not a micromanager, but there are some things that I will, it will feel like micromanaging to you. For example, I'm going to be very rigid with the script that we use.
And the reason why, it's because it's worked thousands. Exactly. I feel the same way as a manager. Every manager feels this way. We don't want to micromanage you, but we know what works. And so I can tell in the tone of this interviewer, he's starting to make a decision that this isn't my guy. He's too focused on what the AEs are doing. He doesn't like the micromanagement. I run a tight ship over here. I have rigid standards. I will let people branch out once they earn my trust, but he's not going to do well in this environment. He's not my guy. And so if we look through the rest of this, the manager's trying to come into agreement like, hey,
I'm not into micromanaging people.
I'm not into micromanaging people. And you need to do what I say to do because I know it works. And the resistance initially to that is being, it's bothering this manager here. Let's see.
This is actually where I will be a little bit harsher on you on.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense because with cold growth, it's founding. This is young, like other ways of converting the calls better. Maybe like not exactly what I say, but my tone, how I speech. So that's why I wouldn't even need to update a script or reach out for help in other ways. It might be more so if I get mentorship, just
again, like this answer is not what he wants to hear.
other ways of converting the calls better. Maybe like
So
stuff, but with you, it would be 20 some plus years of experience just selling and helping other people succeed in sales. So that's why I wouldn't even need to update a script, reach out.
That's why I wouldn't even need to use your script or to reach out for help. In other ways, I want help. Like I get what my client is saying. He's trying to value the expertise of this manager and say, hey, manager, I might not need you for the scripts and that kind of stuff. But I will need you for like how to manage stress in sales and how to do that higher level skills. But again, the error my client is making is that my client thinks this manager trusts him. My client thinks that this manager knows he's a good BDR, SDR. No, this manager doesn't know that. This manager needs someone who he can program with his frameworks. And so this right here, like I wouldn't even need to update a script or reach out for help. I'd be like, well, so he's not coachable at all. There's no way I'm hiring this guy. He's already telling me he's not going to use my scripts after I just told him how important using my scripts are up here. All right. So
all we have in telesales is our voice. That is all we've got. You know what I mean? Like we're not making cold calls like this. I get to see you, you get to see me.
So decent conversation as it continues, but I can just tell there's like a few little yellow red flags that this manager's already got his mind made up at this point.
My approach is always, I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be real to who I am. Can I adapt somewhat?
It's not like the conversation's over. You can see like, hey, that's a great question.
A red flag or a yellow flag that I might be able to just squash for you right now.
So my client goes for the close here.
If there's anything during our conversation or in my LinkedIn or background or anything that you feel, any reservations from moving me forward to the next step?
That's a great question. And it's one that I ask too. I ask the same question when I'm interviewing. I ask, is there anything that give you a red flag or a yellow flag that I might be able to just squash for you right now? And so far, it's no. I have a bunch of different interviews. I took as many notes that I could down on our conversation. Huge. Um,
All right, let's listen to the feedback he's got for the client here. This is going to tell us everything about how this call went.
thought you asked some great questions. I think that you've got a very calm voice. I think voice again, like
I agree. And I want my client to know that I don't want him to change his voice and be all passionate and crazy. No, keep your calm voice, but just add in some passion and energy throughout. That's it. Because I agree, this calm voice goes really well in cold calling, and this manager's experienced and he knows.
going back to what we talked about, voice is really huge. Um, the the only thing I would say is that um, I would be nervous with the amount of outbound that I would expect you to do.
There it is. Yep. And it's exactly what we talked about all up here, right? So um, I'd be nervous that you're not going to follow my expectations and standards because you don't want a micromanager. That's what that is saying right there.
Knowing that knowing that the hardest part of the role for you is crashing after after hearing rejection. That's the only thing. But it's not a yellow flag. You're asking me to give you an answer, and so that's what
The thing is, it's not a yellow flag until this manager gets 10 other candidates of equal skill who didn't say that rejection after phone calls is really hard for them to deal with. And I don't even know where my client said that. I don't think he said that in here, but the fact it doesn't matter. The manager took that away from the conversation. So again, all in all, I think where this call could have improved is the tone, just keeping the calm tone, but adding a little more excitement and energy in it. And then also the trajectory started to drift over time into like AE questions and I don't really need help with scripts. So you're telling the manager what you don't need help with, and he doesn't even know you. So now you're not coachable. And it just, I feel like there was some misalignment there. And so my main feedback would be like, stay in the lane of being an SDR and focus in on your job. Don't worry about what the account execs are doing. Don't worry about ACV, MRR, yada, yada. Just stay in your lane. So all in all, not a bad interview, but definitely some growth areas in this between tone and then how we're answering some of these questions to make sure we're sending the right signal to the right manager.